So if you're happy to chat while I speak, that would be amazing. Just say something so I know you are here. I'm honored to be invited back to UX South Africa to speak again, even though if it's remotely. It's still one of my favorite talks today, one of my favorite trips as well. In all of my career, I still keep the photo in my office. As you can see, when I was with the Lions, it's one of my favorite experiences. I really loved South Africa, and I hope I will get another chance to visit at some point. Let me introduce myself briefly. Like Iggy said, my name is Tomislav, but feel free to call me Tom. Tom Kozačinski is my full name. As you can see, I'm a web designer. I started years ago and went from there through all of the things that are basically now what we have as a internet technology, and I will tell you a little bit more about that. To get a little bit more serious, if you want to reach out, please use this nickname for Twitter or Instagram and tag me. I'm more than happy to speak with anybody and to show to my mom that people are actually tweeting me from the other side of the planet. That would be amazing. Just one little small caveat: I do sometimes share porn, so if you are faint of heart, please do not follow me. Who am I actually? So I call myself a designer. I don't like to use some crazy titles like Turbo Ninja, whatever people use today, because I started over 15 years ago. I started out in print as a graphic designer. I studied graphic design and human-computer interaction, and I dropped out of college because I did not like that regular school thing. Got into design, worked at the actual print shop where I worked in the actual machine, and it hurt my back, and people working in the design department were earning more money than I did. So I kind of decided, like, I'm going to go to more graphics, and started with graphics, worked my way up to web design. Back then, when you were both a web designer and a front-end developer and a back-end developer and everything in one. From there, I went into more phone apps. As smartphones became a thing, so I've worked on mobile app design and mobile products. In the last 5 or 6 years, I transitioned more into a B2B space, working with companies building software, working on mostly UX and customer experience with more enterprise software and building dashboards and stuff like that. Something that I will cover more in my talk tomorrow, actually, because I've been invited to do both 2 talks in 2 days, and it's a great opportunity. And thank you, both Iggy and Theo, for that. Apart from my graphic and designer career, my second career is as a stand-up comedian. This is me with my stand-up comedy friends. In the middle, next to me, you can see Alex, who was with me in South Africa 4 years ago. And I wanted to speak a little bit more about having 2 careers in parallel, because sometimes it can feel a little bit overwhelming. But what I like to say is, when you're doing 2 things that are not related, you're gaining 2 different experiences that you can then put into one offering for your clients. So you can be this person that's basically unique, and nobody else can be this. I haven't yet met a stand-up comedian who's also a UX designer and also does some public speaking. So it's a good thing to have multiple sources of experience. Also, one thing that I really love to do is build communities. After moving from Croatia to London, I actually started a community called Indie Club. It's for people who are freelancers, starting their own business and working on their own, or working with a small team. And we like to help each other. So it's a completely free community for people who just want to interact, share experience, share knowledge, ask questions, get help. And you are more than welcome to join us if this is something that you would like to explore more. I started this in London because when I left Croatia, where I built a community called Web Designers Croatia that grew to almost 4,000 people now. And it started as a small little thing of a couple of web designers just meeting up for coffee. And it was like, oh, can my friend join? He's also he's also a web designer. It kind of snowballed into that. And it's something that really gave me a lot of experience that I have today. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more later. Okay, so I'm a freelancer, and I want to spare you all of the bullshit that goes into this black box that people call freelancing, and I want to tell you how I experience this and how I work and why I talk about this. So, what is the reason that I talk about this? Is because I want people to do better in their career. I did better listening to some other people, and I think that people today do not value themselves as much as they should, and I think you could charge more, and I want to motivate people to actually explore uh, this as a viable career path. So if you're thinking about going freelance, I want to help you explore this. Why I don't like corporate jobs, and I really have a strong problem with corporate jobs in 21st century, because I think in the last couple of months we all seen that we can all work from home, and there's no need to go into the office. And I've never felt like being a person that wants to climb a corporate ladder. And even ever since my first real corporate job that I had in a company that was doing both design and selling those marketing materials, those roll-up banners that you have um, in every conference, all that stuff. So this was one of my first job where I was hired as a basically everything designer. Back then it was even web design and WordPress and graphics. So basically you're hired. So we were doing this, and I felt really wrong because the leadership of the company was selling design, actually was offering design for free if you buy their product, if you buy the roll-up banners or whatever, and they did not value the design. So I kind of felt that I was not being valued, that I wanted to start my own company. And I remember clearly to this day, one of the, sorry for the loop, let me, I know it's a loop, but I can't stop it in Google Slides. So write an angry UX letter to Google, because they cannot stop the looping for some reason. So let me maybe change to another slide. So we can alternate. So when I was working in that company, basically one of the lessons that I learned is it was Friday afternoon, and we were done at 2 p.m. with everything that we were doing. And it came to the CEO and told like, oh, we're completely done. We finished everything, the entire work for the week. We are not starting a new project until Monday. So basically there's nothing to do. And can I go home? And it was 2 p.m. And she basically said, well, you're being paid to sit here till 5 p.m. and either find something to do or just twiddle your thumbs. But you're basically here because we're paying you to sit here. And it was a big revelation for me. And at that point, what I did find something to do. I went back to my office. I wrote a resignation letter saying, thank you for the experience. This was amazing. Thank you for not valuing me or whatever. And basically I was out. I was like, bye, and gave them the proverbial middle finger and started my own company. Which was really good for the first couple of months, and then it went bankrupt in 2 years because I did not listen. I did not listen to people who were smarter than me, people who were trying to help me. I thought because I just started a company, I know best, and I will just do better than everybody else. And boy, I was wrong, because we failed very quickly. So why am I doing this is I'm trying now to help people to listen to the advice, because I didn't listen, and I want people to avoid mistakes that I did, because I thought that I knew better, and it ended up not being true. And now I'm just trying to, if I can help one person to do better and just listen to one piece of advice and be more successful, then I think I won. And this is the thing. I'm here. People will ask you what they should do, and you will tell them, and they will not do it. So they will either not listen, not try at all, or even if they try, they will do some piss poor version of whatever you're doing, and then they will fail. And this is something where I think we can all do better. So I think freelancing is an amazing career path, especially in 21st century. We are moving away from the industrial era. There is no more reason to be 8 hours a day in the same place doing one same thing. And this is something that going forward in the next decade or so, we're going to see much more people working on their own craft and just providing value to multiple other businesses or people. So while I have you here in chat, before I continue, if you can quickly type in, just say yes or no if you are a freelancer at the moment. I'll give you a couple of seconds. No, Theo, okay, no. Take the red pill, exactly. No. Okay, a lot of no's. Oh yeah, that's a lot of no's. I hope that by the end of this talk, maybe some of those no's will turn to yes. We'll see. When I speak about freelancing, a lot of people have a really wrong perception of what it is. A lot of misconceptions of how freelancing works. And I say I'm a freelancer, this is what people see. Like people say, like, you can work whenever you want. It pays better. You can sleep in. You don't have to work for an entire day, which it can be true to a certain degree, but it ends up not being true, because what happens is you think you will work less, but you end up working more. And this is actually what freelancing is. When you start freelancing, you quickly realize that you will need to learn and do everything around your business and around what you actually want to do, but not what you really do. When I started, I was a web designer, but I quickly learned that I need to learn what is accounting, what are taxes. Taxes are something that actually has to be paid regularly. We'll need to learn more about marketing, sales, and I quickly learned that nobody gives a shit that I'm a web designer. And you can't go around walking the streets yelling, I'm a web designer, and people will give you stuff to do. So you need to learn things like sales. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into this that nobody told me. And like I said, when people wanted to help me, I didn't listen. I went headstrong, head first through the wall, and failed a lot. And beginnings are hard. Getting your first client is hard. Sometimes it's 90% of no's. It is hard, but when you know how to approach it, you can skip some of the steps that go into this. One of my first clients when we started were people that we were targeting like low income clients, like cheap clients that want to do cheap stuff. And back then we needed to explain the benefits of having a website. There were meetings where I would come in and I first needed to explain what is a website, why they should need to have a website, and what is the benefits of having a website. So some of these steps that we done, we could have easily overcome if we just listened. I remember one client where we came into the meeting and spent 30 minutes explaining all of the benefits for a business having a website. And after the meeting was done, the client told me that she does not need a website because her husband does all of that internet stuff in Microsoft Word, and she's all good. And there was nothing for me left to say because, okay, I understand. And now we left, and somebody sold that person a Joomla website template for 10 times more than it's worth, and it was just a learning experience. And I've seen people agreeing, yes, you've been there, you know how it looks like. And when we started getting our first clients, we reached out to our network, and my friend's dad had a company that worked with other companies that didn't have websites. So he knew people and gave us some like fresh, warm leads for us to follow. And one of the clients that we got basically sent us a design. I don't know even how to phrase this properly, honestly, but he gave us his own version of how he thinks site should look like, and he sent over this. So this guy designed his ideal website in Microsoft Excel, and this is a website for a football club in my hometown. And he asked me, "Can you make this?" And when he asked me if we are able to make this website, I replied with no, because I don't know how to, like, I was pretty impressed by what he did, because I don't know how to do this. There's no way you can put this into a website. So I told him that we can create a website with the desired information and upload it and on hosting and everything, and we wanted to charge for it. I don't remember how much it was back then, but he said he doesn't want us to build the thing. He saved the file. He went to file, save as an HTML, uploaded it to his hosting, and ended up having a website. And then he told everybody that we were trying to scam him because he had a website. So this was one of the early lessons for me with bad clients. But it does get better. It gets better if you work for it. If you define what type of client you want to work with and you go out and find it. I started working with a company called TopTail out of US that works with freelancers and remote people in design and development. And it was one of my first remote careers. It kicked off my remote career. It was almost 10 years ago now. And I started working with global clients, which is really great until you ended up having a client on the West Coast and in China, and you're working across different time zones. So it kind of can mess you up. But it kicked off my remote career, and I became a strong advocate for remote working, and I believe it's going to be the future. And this is how remote work gets advertised. And if you ever tried working remotely, you know this is not how remote work actually works. Whoever went on a beach with their laptop knows that you can't see shit on the screen because of the sun glare. And even if you are in a beautiful country somewhere working remotely, doing the digital nomad stuff, you're still in a dark room working in front of your computer. And basically, this is how remote work actually ends up looking like. So just a caution, be careful to not get bogged down with clients all over the world, because you want to work with everybody, because this is what internet gives us today. But it ends up, if you take on client from literally anywhere, you will start working from basically morning till night. And there are a couple of things that when we built our second company, we implemented a couple of things when working with clients from wherever. And because I'm a freelancer and a digital nomad at that point, I wanted to work with digital nomads. So what we did, we had a central company time that we modeled after Star Trek. It was basically ship time that's always the same regardless of where you are. So if we had a company meeting at Monday 10 a.m., for example, it would be 10 a.m. Croatian time. That's the same time as South Africa, by the way. And it would be the same time. So if you're in Japan or San Francisco, it doesn't matter, because you need to make that meeting if it's important. And if it's not, then it doesn't matter. We're just gonna do something that we call chase the sun. So people who are working on the east side of the planet would be working in making sure that everybody who requires their input gets prepared, everything. So you basically just do for the person who wakes up after you. So this was something that we implemented. And when you work alone, it's you tend to be alone a lot when you're a freelancer. And something that I am sure a lot of people experienced in the last couple of months with the COVID crisis is in the lockdown, is the cabin fever, when you can't go anywhere. And at this point, we were all kind of mandatory locked up, and you were locked up with some people in your house, hopefully. But when you do this to yourself and you forget about where you are and what you're doing, just you're in front of your computer for the extended periods of time, it can have negative effects. And it's a good thing to keep an active lifestyle. Get out of your house, do a gym, do something that gets you moving, gets you away from where you are most of the time, change scenery, and just get out of the house, basically. So how to actually become a freelancer? Okay, so a disclaimer, and I have to be honest with you. When I was giving this talk before, I would tell people, quit your job and just go and do it and become a freelancer. And I don't do that anymore, because some people did quit their job after hearing me speak, and then they couldn't find a client, and they would basically email me like, oh, I listened to your advice and I couldn't find a job, and I don't have a job, I don't have any money. So I changed this a little bit. Find your first client while you're still working and treat freelancing as a side hustle for the beginning. As soon as you find a place for yourself in the market, and you will, I guarantee you this, with you being a design professional or a developer or whatever, we are living in a market where I'm sure you're going to find a place for yourself. As soon as you find your first client that's willing to pay you, quit. So I'm not here to motivate you and do the life guru bullshit, but how do you start? This is an advice that I got from a friend of mine who I consider a mentor, and he told me one really good thing. If you want to become good, and when I asked him some 6 years ago, I wanted to be a UX designer. I asked him, like, what should I do to be good as you? And he told me that I need to learn everything on the topic. So whatever you want to be, you learn that topic. And then he gave me 1 physical meter of books on the topic. He told me once you go through 1 physical meter of books on the topic, you will become good enough that you can find clients or get a job. Second thing was networking, and I know a lot of people who are in development tend to be more introverted than designers for some reason. I don't know why, and they avoid networking events. And if you do not network, you will not find great people to collaborate with, and then you will miss out on amazing opportunities. And then if you do, you will find a project that you can collaborate with someone, and even if it's not paid well, or if it's not paid at all, it will give you an experience. Then probably you will fail, but you will learn something, and then you repeat it. What you need to do is you need to show people what you're doing. Showcase your work. Even if it's bad, it doesn't matter. Nobody started good. You will get better. If you're in a design, try to find portfolio review events. I'm sure there's some going on. If not, let me know. I will point you to the right place. And listen to the feedback from more experienced people, and just go out and do. I met a photographer when I was just a couple of months before I got married, and she told me, "Oh, I'm a photographer. I do portraits, whatever." And I said, "Great, cool. We are looking for a photographer. Where can we see your work?" And she told me, like, "Oh, I don't have a website." I'm like, "Okay, cool. Can you give me your Facebook page or something?" And she was, "Oh, I don't believe in social networks." So at some point, she basically didn't have anything to showcase her work, and I think it's a bad thing if you're creative to not share whatever you're doing. So a lot of people ask me, "Can you tell me your secret?" And I said, yes, of course. There is no secret. There's basically nothing that you cannot do. There's no secret formula. There's nothing that I did that you cannot, that's only specific to me. What you can do is you can join a community. If there's no community where you can join, you can build a community. This is why I built Web Designers Croatia, because basically I wanted to learn more, meet good people in the industry, and I wanted to practice speaking. I love speaking. Every time I speak, I learn something new. I discover something new. I meet great people. And a couple of years ago, I was speaking in doesn't matter anymore, but for in a WordPress conference, and this guy approached me after my talk and said, like, "Oh, I love your talk. I would love to do my talk. I'm applying to a lot of conferences, but nobody invited me to speak." And I asked him, "Okay, do you have any speaking experience?" And he said no. So a lot of people see people in conferences where they would love to speak, but they do not see the work that went into that. And it comes from speaking in meetups, smaller events. Even if it's like 3 of your colleagues, just practice speaking. One thing that I learned from my stand-up is, even when you speak or just practice, you need to record yourself, record your voice, record the video, just to know how you actually look like to other people. Wear your hands out at any moment, because when you start, your hands will be all over the place. I thought that I had a sexy deep voice, and it ended up I'm just a nasal asshole that speaks like just speaks dumb. If I hear myself, I see myself, it doesn't look good. But yeah, this is the advice, to just start speaking. Do not spend time in your basement all alone and thinking you're like, whenever you start as a freelancer, this is what a lot of people do, is they start a company, they call it the Amazing Design Studio, whatever, and then advertise their work as a studio, not as their own personal brand. So I'm me, I'm not a studio. If you're living in your mom's basement, you're not a studio of designers, you're you. So better stand behind whatever you do and tell people who you are. When you start out, build out your portfolio. And even if you don't have clients, you can do this fairly easily if you reach out to your network and ask people, identify who are the people who could benefit from your solutions to whatever problems you're solving, and then ask them if they would like to work with you. Even if they cannot afford your full price, you can give them a big discount. Never go cheap when working with, when building out your portfolio. A lot of people will say, oh, I'm going to build your website for free or something. And I think it's a bad practice, because what happened to me is I did this, and then people will think that you are not worth enough. So I would rather communicate my full price, and you will know what your price is. And then you can give them a really generous discount and ask them, when they refer you further, instead of telling people the price they actually paid, they just communicate the full price. They do not mention the discount. So when they, in this way, you will avoid the conversation of, oh, you charge 3 times less to my friend John or whatever. So this is one of good things. And the other one is avoid cheap work, FOMO, or fear of missing out, because I know when it starts, you want to take on board any work just so you can do something fairly quickly and get some cash. And if you do this, it will take away your focus from projects and clients you actually want to do. And one thing that's like a good example for this is also when people start working on web design, they will offer to resell hosting for some companies, and that's a bad idea, because at some point you will outgrow the price of the reseller hosting. It will become more of a hassle than it actually is benefit for you, and it will be much more work than you're actually making. It's just good to avoid that thing and focus on what you want to do, and don't chase cheap work like Fiverr or 99 Designs. Rather find someone where you can prove your real value and then prove your price. Even if you don't have anybody in your network, I'm sure that in your area there are more than enough organizations, like not big ones like Red Cross or UNICEF, but something similar. It's like non-government organization that can benefit from your skill and help them out, and then put that on your portfolio and ask them to refer you to their network, and they work with people who give them money, like donating money that are companies. So that could be a good way to go as well. One thing that I learned the hard way is communication with clients when I work from home. Is a lot of people, when they start out, they onboard a project and then they do not communicate. They're just working for a week or two, and then they basically dump everything on a client. I'm done. And client doesn't know that you're working for 2 weeks. They feel like, oh, I'm paying this guy, I don't know what he's doing. So one of the advice I got is every day I communicate with a client in the morning, like, hi, John, today I'm prepared to do this, this, and this. I'm going to deliver this by the end of the day. And then in the end of the day, write a quick summary, what I did, what I'm working tomorrow. In that way, client, even if you're not present and you're working remotely, they will know, they will feel it much more at ease that you're working, which will be great. And at some point they will ask you to stop emailing them, and then you will be even more relaxed. So one great thing that I did is find a supporting team, people that you can work with, not necessarily working on the same project, but working in the same room or same environment. And it will feel better. You will have a fresh pair of eyes for whatever you're doing, and you will not be alone, which I think it helps going forward. And at the end of the day, you just do what you do what you love, and concentrate on that. I'm doing this because I love helping people. And coming from Croatia, it's I grew up like when I was a kid. When I started out, I grew up during it was war in Croatia, and it was a terrible time. And basically, what happened is I think that in Central Europe and Eastern Europe, and I'm pretty sure is the same thing in a lot of African countries, is a lot of our parents basically want better for us, but they do not teach us to value, to know our real value. They just want us to be better than what they had, and they want our life to be better than they had. But basically, it's just a little bit better than, and a lot of people settle for it. We are not thought to be successful or rich. We are just thought to have it better. And I've heard a lot even from my parents, and then parents of my people, my friends, where basically if you go to school and you finish college and you find a good job, you're going to be safe. And a lot of people are pushed into that feeling of being safe rather than finding something they're passionate about and finding a great career and then doing what they love for the entire life. And I think this is where we can make change. We can try to find whatever we want to do, be good at it, and then negotiate of what we want, not what we think our client wants. And I'm more than happy to talk about this. If you reach out to me, I will be happy to talk about this in more detail. And that's it for me for this talk. Thank you so much for your attention, and I'll be happy to answer any of your questions now.
Thank you for that awesome talk. I see there's been a lot of engagement in the chat, and a few questions, but I think there's one that's been the most voted for. Yeah, I'm going to leave that one until the end. So let's start from the bottom. And this question is from Dersha about building a community for people who are beginners in the UX field and there are no meetups near them. Which advice do you give to start a community and networking?
Okay, great question. So start off, even if you know somebody who's in the same field with you, just start off as an informal coffee between two of you, and then invite everybody that you know who could join. And today we do like Facebook groups and Slack and stuff like that. We can reach out in LinkedIn. You can reach out to people who are in the same area. You not necessarily know them, but you can reach out to them. Build a meetup or group on Facebook or on LinkedIn, and you will have a lot of tools to identify people who live in the same area, who share the same interests as you. And then tell them like, hey, I see that you are a UX designer or whatever you are, and we are trying to organize this. It's informal. Come join us. Meet new people, and I guarantee that a lot of people will respond with yes. A lot of people are waiting for somebody to take the initiative. I know that a lot of people who are just like, oh, I hope there's a meetup. I hope somebody does this. If nothing is happening, you be the person that gets the ball rolling. Even if you are by yourself drinking coffee and you just email 100 people, like, I'm drinking coffee and I want to talk about UX at 2 p.m. on a Sunday at this cafe, and just go there and be there for 2 hours. I'm sure somebody will turn up. If nobody turns up, then people in your area are just not into that. I haven't heard about that happening ever. So this is my advice.
Thank you for that. Some great advice. Next question. When do you know now is the perfect time to take the leap? When, how do you get that feel? When is that moment?
Okay. Another great question. There's a free community. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. It's called the Leapers. It's a great community that really helps people to take the leap, and it's about mental health for freelancers. It would be really good to research all of their materials, but from my perspective, when you feel that you are not happy where you are, and you are working something that does not bring you joy, and you're not doing something every day that really gets you up in the morning, this is the time. If you're happy going to work, working for a company, excelling and in climbing the company ladder and working with your colleagues, and you feel great, then there's no reason to change that. If you are happy, stay happy. But if you're not happy where you are, then that's the time when you need to make a change. And maybe that's freelancing, maybe that's something else, but you need to try it. It's better to look back and say, oh shit, look what I done, than look back and say, I wish I'd done that.
Next question. How do you manage your working time outside of the traditional 9 to 5 hours with client work as you started without a team?
Okay, so One thing that I really love and advise to a lot of people is Pomodoro technique, where you divide your work in chunks and then work on that. Everything. So I'm not a. There's been in the last like 3 or 4 years, there's been a lot of talk about work-life balance. And I do not buy into whole work-life balance, because that means that you're balancing two different things. And for me, when I wake up, I'm a designer. When I go to sleep, I'm a designer. When I eat, I'm a designer. So I heard a phrase, I don't remember who said it somewhere, but it's about work-life integration. And you need to find a way that your life works around whatever you're working on. Sometimes, like I have in my situation, my wife works for 12 hours shifts a day, and then she works 4 days a week. And then when she's home, I work when she's at home, and when she's home, I try to give her space so she can relax or whatever. And this is when I work. And then every other time we spend together. One thing that when I work with clients, I communicate results, not time. So I will never charge for hourly rate, or maybe per project, but more often in the last couple of years per value. A lot of people will ask you what's your rate, but it doesn't matter. Your rate, your hourly rate, it doesn't matter, because you as a designer are providing value. So let's say that you are building a logo, and you will quote them, I don't know, 1,000 monies. It doesn't matter what monies, like 1,000 monies, and you will say 3 weeks, and they will ask you what's your hourly rate. You can always ask them why. Why do you care about my hourly rate? Do you ask them, if they say, like, you ask them, if I work less than 3 weeks, should I charge you less? And they will say yes. Everybody will say yes. And then basically you can tell them, okay, if I work more, should I charge you more? So, and then they say no. Then they ask them, do you value my work or do you value my time? Because if you value my time, I will really, really invest myself into this, and I can work for 6 years, and then I can charge you. So I manage my time in a way where, just to answer the question, and I know I kind of went off point, I manage my time in a way when I wake up. I'm a morning person. I wake up really early, go to the gym, and then I spend the day working in chunks of 2-hour blocks of Pomodoros, well, by taking 15 to 20 minutes to rest, do something unrelated to work, or cook a meal or something like that. And because I work from home, I work from my office, and especially in the current Corona crisis, there's been nothing else to do but basically concentrate on my work. I hope I answered the question.
Thank you. And the last question, so the most voted for question, can you tell us a joke?
Well, I don't love telling my jokes in settings like this that are business, because my jokes are they're not pretty. What?
Let me not stop you.
Sorry, I didn't hear you that.
No, I'm saying I was going to ask a question, but I'm not going to stop you.
Okay, cool. Better to stop then. Yeah, very not safe for work, Lars. Very not safe for work. So I'd rather avoid that and maybe do that for a more informal setting.
Okay, fair enough.
If that's all, yeah.
I mean, if there aren't any more questions from anybody, it's been awesome. I just had a quick look at the poll. So there was about the question, are you a freelancer? So 4 votes yes, 18 votes no. But I think there aren't any more questions. Yeah. Did you want to say something, Tom?
I want to say thank you for everybody who actually stayed. I know I've been speaking for 40 minutes. Thank you so much for your time. You've been really good. Thank you for all of the comments. I hope you reach out. I'm available for you. Let me know if there's anything else. And I really look forward to tomorrow for another talk, and see you all tomorrow. And hopefully we can chat by then.
Yeah. I mean, thank you. Thank you for an awesome talk. Lots of nuggets and great advice. If there aren't any more questions, then that is the last talk for the day. I'm not sure if Theo wants to add anything.
I've got nothing to add. Then thank you for everyone. I know it's been a long and thank you for sharing your time. I have to say that online events, because I'm quite busy with UX healthcare overseas as well, but online events is starting to grow on me. I wish there was one feature where we could allow people to join into the conversation, but this platform has clearly not got that feature. So that's something we're definitely going to be looking out for. But I absolutely love the engagement, love the question. The engagements on chat was just phenomenal. And the last thing I wanted to add, it's so great seeing a lot of great old friends and people that we haven't seen and spoken to in ages. So yeah, thanks for joining, guys. I'm